Have you ever really stopped to think about what makes for a good life? I mean, is it just about having the latest phone or the coolest clothes? Well, today we're going to dive into this idea called the standard of living. And you're going to see that it's connected to money, but it's also way, way different from what actually makes us feel happy.
So let's just start with that big question right there. What do you think really makes a life good? Is it having a bunch of stuff, feeling safe, having plenty of time to just hang out with your friends? Just keep that question in the back of your mind as we go, because we're about to unpack the huge difference between what we have and how we actually feel.
All right, let's get into it. First things first, what do people even mean when they use the term standard of living? Well, you can think of it like a yardstick that experts use to measure how well people are doing in a certain place, mostly based on the material things they can get. So yeah, the official textbook definition is all about the level of wealth, comfort, and physical stuff that people have access to. Economists will look at things like average income to see if a country is, getting richer. It's a pretty useful way to track progress over time, but, and this is a big but, it only tells one part of the story.
To really see what I mean, let's do a quick time travel back to the Industrial Revolution. Before all the factories popped up, most people were farmers. Then boom, millions moved to cities for jobs. This started a massive debate. Did life actually get better? Sure, people were earning more money, so their material standard of living went up, but the working conditions were often horrible, and the cities were crowded and sometimes dangerous. It just goes to show that measuring wealth doesn't give you the whole picture of someone's well-being.
Right, so it's not just about how many dollars are in your pocket. What's maybe even more important is what those dollars can actually get you.
And that brings us to a really key idea: purchasing power. Okay, it sounds a little technical, but it's actually a super simple concept. It's just about how much stuff your money can actually buy. Think about it. If you get a 10% raise at your job, but the price of everything you buy goes up by 20%, you're actually worse off, right? It's all about what your money is truly worth.
This makes it perfectly clear. Okay, imagine you've got $100. In a small town, maybe a fun night out, pizza, movie, the whole deal, costs you $30. But in a huge city, that exact same night could easily cost you $65 or even more. So even if you have the same amount of money, your standard of living can feel completely different depending on where you live.
So we've figured out that the value of money is super important. But what about the things that we all need for a good life that you can't just go out and buy for yourself? See, a really high standard of living also depends on big picture things that keep us healthy, educated, and secure. Things the whole community helps provide.
Get ready for this number because it's pretty staggering. Back in the 1800s, the average person lived to be about 40 years old. That's it. And it wasn't because they didn't have money, it was because they didn't have modern medicine or things like clean water systems.
Now let's jump to today. We've literally doubled it. And that incredible leap isn't just about individual people getting richer. It's the result of huge advances for everyone. Better healthcare for all, clean water infrastructure, and just better knowledge about nutrition. These are absolutely fundamental to a high standard of living.
And education? Man, having access to a good school is a complete game changer. It's not just about memorizing facts for a test. It's about getting the tools you need to build your own future, to get a better job, to come up with new ideas, and to create opportunities for yourself. Good education literally empowers you to raise your own standard of living.
Look, life is full of surprises, and not all of them are good. That's where something called a social safety net comes in. It's basically a system that a country can build to catch you when you fall. Things like unemployment benefits if you lose a job, or pensions for when you're older. It gives everyone a sense of security, which is this huge, often invisible part of having a good life.
Okay, now let's zoom the camera out even further. The quality of our lives is shaped every single day by the world right around us. Not just the physical world, but the digital one too.
Just think about your own day. Do you have a safe place to live? Clean air? A park you can go to? All of that stuff matters. And what about reliable internet? Nowadays, that's not just for fun. For a lot of people, it's essential. For school, for finding a job, or for staying connected with family. Having that kind of infrastructure completely changes the game by opening up a whole world of possibilities.
And of course, we have to talk about technology. I mean, think about it. Your grandparents' generation didn't grow up with the internet or smartphones. From washing machines that freed up hours of work to the literal supercomputer you carry in your pocket, tech has radically boosted our standard of living in ways we just kind of take for granted now.
So, we've talked about money, health, security, and our environment. And that brings us to the final, and maybe most important piece of the puzzle, the massive difference between simply having stuff and actually being happy.
This quote right here really nails what we've been building up to. You could have all the material things in the entire world, but that doesn't automatically mean you have a good life. And this is where we get to that really important distinction we mentioned at the very beginning.
So here it is, laid out as clearly as possible. The standard of living is objective. It's the stuff we can count and measure. Your income, the house you live in, your access to healthcare. But your quality of life is subjective. It's all about how you feel about your life. It's your happiness, your friendships, having the freedom and the time to do things you love. A high standard of living is great, and it can definitely help support a high quality of life, but it doesn't guarantee it. They're two different things.
And that brings us right back to where we started, but now with a totally new way of looking at it. Having a high standard of living is a fantastic foundation to build on, but it isn't the whole house. So, now that you can see that clear line between your standard of living and your quality of life, what's most important for you to have a truly good life? That's a question worth thinking about.